I'm just gonna change, but I'm pretty sure this is how we all gonna be looking for the next month. So, hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I was not expecting to be back here as quickly as I am now, but I don't want to dwell on that too much in this video. I know you're seeing it everywhere. I don't even need to say it, what I'm talking about, and I want to just keep this video as helpful and for finding books as possible. But I just want to say, like, I love all of you so much, and I hope you all are doing well. It's gonna be a time, but I want to try to keep posting and keep having content for you guys that you guys can watch and enjoy, as I have been enjoying so many new people's content and having a lot of fun finding new people. But I wanted to make this video today because, hell, we need these books right now. It's becoming like really hard to like sit down and focus and read, and I feel like if you have a book that you're so sucked into the world and the environment and how fast-paced or how interesting and how fun it is to read, then I feel like that could really benefit a lot of people. So I have a decent bit of books to show you today, which is pretty exciting. I really tried to get from a range of genres so a lot of you can find a book in here that you're really interested in and that you think you would really love. I also tried to pick generally more popular releases. One, we don't have a lot of money to be spending, so that's number one, but also a lot of these books are likely to be on your library's database because they are more popular. So I would highly recommend, if you don't have any of the books here, please check out your library. I know mine has closed, but they still have all of their online resources, so you can get audiobooks, ebooks, all online, which is great. So you can either get it through Overdrive or Libby, and I think there's Hoopla, some that libraries have, but I would highly encourage you to just go online, look up your library, and online they usually have like a little section about like what apps they use or what different databases. There's also a lot of like movies and stuff that you can watch online through your library, so I'd highly recommend that. But like I said, I picked a lot of popular books just because I want to make sure that you guys have access and can actually pick up these books, because if I was just picking all these new releases and stuff, then that would help no one. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with my personal favorite genre, which is like romance or YA contemporary. Starting off, I'm gonna start off with pure romance, and this is like adult or new adult. Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, pretty popular last summer. Absolutely fantastic book about the first son of the United States and the Prince of England falling in love. Beautifully told. It does take a little bit to get into because the writing style is a little different than I was used to, but it was truly a beautiful book overall, and I really adored it. I would highly recommend this if you have this on your shelf, it's at your library. Please check it out because it is just so fun. It's like a little longer for a like romance or contemporary book, but absolutely so worth it, so enthralling and exciting, and we are currently living in the time period that this book takes place in, so that's also something really cool as well, so check it out. Next up, another classic, and that is The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. Once again, another this one's adult romance, and this follows these two characters here. They are both the assistants of these co-CEOs of this publishing company after these two companies merged together, and they're all complete opposites. So like he's like really stern and like serious in their side of the company, her side of the company is more like fun-loving and like cares about people. That sounds like really weird, but like numbers and like caring, you know, like different, and they start to strike up this romance. Hate to love, so good. It was just like perfect. It was pretty short, I'd say, and just like an overall enthralling read, and I absolutely adore this couple, so I'd highly recommend this. Have one more sort of adult title, and that is Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. This follows a bunch of different characters, but it mainly centers on Rachel and Nick, who are about to go to Nick's best friend's wedding, and they're in the wedding. He's the best man, and it's just like his girlfriend finding out that he's like super duper rich, and she had no idea because they were living in New York as professors and they were just like chill, and she finds out he's super rich, and it's like this whole debacle. Absolutely entertaining, so much fun. I highly recommend all these books, but like it's a super fun series. I have the whole series. I would highly recommend all of them, but they are super fun. Now moving on to books that are YA. So first up we have the Selection series by Kiera Cass. I couldn't not put this series in here, especially since Kiera Cass is coming out with a new book in June, I believe. Everyone's been talking about these books again, which makes me so happy because these are some of my favorite books of all time. But basically this is just like a bachelor style book about these 14 or so girls that 35, it literally is like The Bachelor. Like 35 girls get sent to this castle to fall in love with this prince to become the next princess queen of the country, and this follows one of the girls in that who kind of entered just to get money and not really to fall in love. And so much fun. I haven't thought about this book in a really long time, and I absolutely adore the main couple in this. Beautiful. Next up, another classic, and that is Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. This is a You've Got Mail retelling, so this follows two characters that are writing back and forth to each other on a movie fan site, like a chat room about like how much they love different movies and films. Some stuff has happened in the girl's life, so she's now moving across the country, and little does she know that she's moving into the guy she's been talking to in this chat room's hometown, and they have no idea about it, and we kind of see it happen before our eyes. And it's like through this beautiful beach town. It's so much fun. You're just like on the edge of your seat, like, are they gonna figure it out? Like, everything's starting to add up, and it's just so beautiful, and I absolutely adored it. It's so much fun. It's so cute. There's like a bit of like angst, and like it's like sex positive. There's so many good things about the series. I've talked about Jen Bennett enough, I'm sure you know. Next up, another classic, Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kempener. This tells the story of this girl who is writing letters to her dead mother on her gravestone when a boy who has recently gone through some stuff, and he has to do community service at this graveyard, so he sees the note and he writes back, and they sort of form this sort of pen pal relationship, and it eventually, you know, escalates and stuff. But it's so good. The characters in this, once again, one of my favorite couples. Beautifully written. If you still haven't read Bridget Kempener's contemporary work, I would highly recommend it. It is so good. Yeah, love it. Next up, a true classic YA. I know so many people that have this on the shelf and they just haven't read it yet, mainly because they hear the word insta-love and they're like, Thus the Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. One of my favorite contemporary books of all time, hands down. It is so beautifully written. It is such a powerful story. It tells the story of Natasha, who is about to get deported on the day that this novel is taking place, and she meets Daniel, who tries to convince her that she needs to live this last day with him, and not live, like, no, she's gonna die, but she's gonna get deported back to Jamaica. So the main character is Black and our main love interest is Korean, and it's just like truly beautiful. Like, yes, it takes place in one day, but it's so powerful. You also get perspectives of like otherworldly things or other people that are like viewing in on this relationship. So beautiful. Absolutely adored it. Oh, and the movie is actually really good, and that's also really underhyped. Absolutely adore. Highly recommend. Moving into another genre, I have like some paranormal urban fantasy. I don't know, this was kind of like my random pile, and then the rest are a little more concrete. But starting off, we have the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout, the first book being Obsidian. This is the 2-book bind-up, but the first book's only like this long, which was 342 pages. This is just a story of this book blogger who moves to this new town in West Virginia, and her neighbors end up being aliens, and there's people trying to hunt them down. Very fun, very enthralling. I have not read the rest of the series, so I can't speak to how great it is overall, but it was a really fun read, and it's really entrancing, and like you really get sucked into it, and it's definitely like Twilight era but with aliens. Super fun, super fun. Next up, a true classic, Shatter Me by Tara Mafi. This also starts off with a main character being in isolation, so I'm not saying it's gonna hit a little too close to home, but it might. But this tells the story of this girl who has a painful touch, and she can like kill people with her hands, and so she's put in like this social isolation, and it's like a dystopian. There's like a lot of things that happen here, but like I can't say a lot of them because like this book like speeds through plotline like this, like it just changes a lot. But it is like primarily like a dystopian romance. I'm thinking I'm gonna reread this series this month or next, just because like I have so much excitement about this series right now. Like I've been seeing all these like gift sets and like videos on Twitter, and I'm just like reminiscing on like how wonderful this series was. And it's pretty short, like the books are like 300 pages each, and that's just like really exciting. I would really love to just reread these. Very enthralling. Like, this first book is my favorite, but the rest of the series is like beautiful. Okay, so yay. Next up, so technically there's like one but also two, but I'll tell you my personal opinion. So really I'm recommending City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, a true classic. Okay, I know you're like, Sammy, everyone's read these, but I never finished the series, so I know some of you have never started it. So I'm recommending this, but like this isn't my favorite. If you don't know what City of Bones is, it's just like demon hunters in New York. This girl finds out she's the chosen one, you know, classic. But if you don't care too much about this series or reading the rest of her books like I do apparently, and I want to like reread and read the whole series in order, I would really just recommend you read The Infernal Devices by Cassandra Clare. So the first one's Clockwork Angel. This is a historical version of this, but it's like historical and it follows like different characters, but it's like so good. Her new books like Lady Midnight, like that series, what is it called, The Dark Artifices, is probably even better than this, but I haven't read that, so I can't recommend it to you. But this series was one of my favorites and it still is. I'll probably reread it, and it's just like so good, and like so like the feels. This has like a true love triangle. It's so good. I would just if you are hesitant about starting the series, now is the time. It will enthrall you, it will like suck you right in. Like, I highly recommend it. That was like my touch into historical, but these are like true historical. So starting off, we have The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. Such fun. This follows our main character Percy, right? Percy? Henry Monty. Percy is the love interest, but Monty is going on a tour with his best friend Percy, and I think his sister tags along eventually, and it is so fun. All this hijinks happens. Beautiful. There's a gay relationship in this. You are definitely going to be sucked into this world as well, as I was. I feel like historical fiction has to like try a lot harder to get you like enthralled, so it usually like does that for me. But if you don't like historical fiction, maybe this won't be for you. But this was pretty popular a couple of years ago, so I hope you guys have access to it. Another book that was pretty popular a couple of years back, My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hanna, Brody Ashton, and Jodi Menes. And this tells the story of My Lady Jane, but like retold in sort of like a fantasy historical fiction sort of way. It's just like so much fun. There's so many fun characters in this. There's like all these intervening plots, and there's like animals and like shape shifting, and it's just like so much fun. And the dialogue in this is like really great, so it's like really witty but like actually funny. And I would highly recommend the audiobook, because the audiobook, like listening to this is just like so much fun. If you still haven't read this, like I hadn't, like I had it on my shelf for years and I read it recently, so worth it. Please pick it up. And fantasy sci-fi, last category. These are all classics. I'm not very original when it comes to this, because I mostly read popular books, and also I want everyone to have access to these. So starting off with my one sci-fi, everyone knows what it's gonna be. It's Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I'm currently rereading this whole series. Well, I finished rereading the two books and I'm currently reading Obsidio. We're getting through Obsidio, okay? It's a challenge right now, but this book, the first two books, the second book being Gemina, which is on my shelf over here, are absolutely spectacularly written. I could talk about this all the time. It's written in multimedia, so that means like chat logs and lots of different things. Absolutely beautiful. I adore this book. I adore the second book. If you watch my vlog when it comes out, whenever it comes out, you'll know that this series is like one of my favorites of all time. It is so enthralling. Like, this book in particular follows these two refugees that had just had their planet attacked by this company, and so they're on this, there's 3 ships that leave this planet, and it's kind of following those 3 ships. And on one of the ships, like a virus this one hits a little close too, but it's totally different, I swear. A virus breaks out, and there's like this very creepy, eerie virus that's like killing people and like turning them into like zombies. And then there's also like being chased by this company that just blew up their planet, and there's a really creepy AI that is kind of running these ships. But is he good? Is he bad? So good. If you haven't read this yet, I would highly recommend it. It's the perfect book to read. It is so enthralling. I couldn't not include this, okay? I just couldn't. and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I haven't read Crescent City yet, so if you have that, I would highly recommend you read that if you haven't yet. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling with fae, and this girl kills this wolf and she gets sent back to the fairyland, and she has to live with this guy who is good, and she's trying to break the spell that's part of the, you know, it's Beauty and the Beast. The second book in the series is my favorite book of all time. We go back and forth. We can argue back and forth on whether you like Sarah J Maas, but if you think you'd like this, you probably will, and it's just fantastic, okay? It's just fantastic. Super fast paced. These are definitely the longer books if you're into that, but it's just like, yes, perfect, lovely. Next up, a book that I haven't talked about in a pretty long time, and that is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I know, like, The Beautiful came out, everyone was like mixed feelings on that, but I saw a lot of positive stuff, and I feel like this series doesn't get talked about a lot anymore. It has a killer romance, killer, but it's a 1001 Nights retelling, so it's the prince takes a new, or the king, prince, takes a new bride every night, and they've been dying. And this is chosen, and she's took it upon herself to kill the king because of him killing her cousin or her friend. I don't exactly remember. And it's just like, it's good. It's like really good. And she like starts living by telling him a story every night, and she doesn't tell him the ending, so he has to keep her alive. Good stuff, I'm telling you. If you haven't read this series yet, I'd highly recommend it. And last but not least, a series I would really just like want to push on you. I'm sure 10 million people have pushed on you, but I feel like this series really just draws you in, and it's such like an interesting world, and there's so much good things about it, and I just really encourage you to read it during this time, and that is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is definitely one of my new favorite series of all time. It follows a human girl whose mother and father were killed by fairies because her older sister was like half fairy. Her older sister's father took her older sister and then her and her twin sister back to the fairy world, and they've been living as humans in the fairy world, and she's kind of dealing with a hard time because one of the princes of fairy is like really rude to her, and she's just trying to survive in a place that is not very nice to humans. And it's so good, I swear, guys. Like, this book, first book, was not my favorite, but the next two books are like hands down one of my new favorite books of all time, and I would just highly recommend you start this series right now because it is so like exciting and enthralling, and they're pretty short, which is like something I look for. I don't want an 800-page book all the time. Like, I just don't. That stresses me out. So these books were like perfect for me, and if you haven't picked them up yet, please do yourself a favor and do it. Okay, this video was a little longer than I intended, but I really wanted to give you as many book recommendations as I possibly can, just because you deserve it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found at least one book in here that you haven't read yet. This can be the last push for you to read it. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're doing well. I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.